Hi guys, it's Miles from MTB Time. How are you going? Today I'm going to talk about choosing the right saddle and saddle adjustment. I'm going to speak about saddle adjustment here. So here I've got one of my first mountain bikes I raced on, back from 2000, and I just want to give some tips on how I've found best to set up saddles. I like to, on a mountain bike, I like to have my saddle completely horizontal, and to figure that out, I like to have the bike on a flat surface and also leant up on a flat surface on the ground and leant up straight. And you can do it just by eye, just by looking. You're looking here, looking here, looking here, and making an estimate. And another good way is that if you had a line on the other behind the saddle, where you could say like a line in a wall or a fence, and you can use your eye just to go like that. The other thing to take into account is that some saddles, like this one here, is not completely flat. I prefer personally a completely flat saddle because I can move back and forward on it and always have the same feeling of where I'm sitting. If you look at this saddle here, some saddles have a bit of a, like especially mountain bike saddles I find, have a bit of a groove here, goes up at the back a little bit, and then raises in the front. In my opinion here, if I'm riding this bike, it'll be up a little bit too high at the front, and I don't like that. So I like a completely flat saddle. So I might sort of, if I'm riding a saddle which is like this, I might tilt it down a little bit. But another good way to check is with a spirit level. So if you go like this, so coming into the spirit level here, you can see that the saddle actually could be, if I was to tilt the front of the saddle up, it would actually be in the middle. But it's a little bit of personal preference of how you like the saddle to be adjusted. But yeah, so now I'm going to show you a road bike adjustment. This is one of my trusty just sort of get around bikes, my Peugeot. On a road bike, you can afford to have the saddle adjustment tilted down a little bit. It allows you to, when you're on the drops, to become in a little bit more of an aerodynamic position, and also you use your quads more, and you can put more power through the pedals. So I'm actually going to loosen the saddle off here a little bit. This is how I had it set up, and all this can depend on the type of terrain that you're riding on as well. If you're riding somewhere where it's really flat, I like to have my seat tilted down a little bit because you're going to be trying to go in a bit more of an aerodynamic position. And if you're somewhere like quite hilly, then I like to have it more flat. So on the road bike, it's, you can play around with different angles. If I get the spirit level here for you to really see the spirit level, the bubble is back here, and if I had it flat, the seat, it would be there. So on a mountain bike, I like to, for myself personally, because you're doing a lot of climbing and you don't need to be you don't need to be in an aerodynamic position. I like to have my seat completely horizontal, and it gives me the best feeling. So quite often, a lot of road riders, maybe more professional ones and stuff, have started adopting having the seat just on a bit of a tilt, because it can actually, when you're leaning forward on the bike, it can relieve a little bit of pressure where you're sitting, and also with your hips. It puts your hips in a more forward position. You lower to the ground, you can push on the pedals better, and you can use more aerodynamics. With choosing, so come in here. So with choosing the saddle width, it's all personable to your width of your sit bones. And when you're at a bike shop, you can go sit on little gel pads that figure out where your sit bones are, so you can figure out the width of the saddle. For example, I like 100, at the widest part, I like 143 centimeters. But to find the right saddle is really quite personal reference. For example, I just picked up 6 saddles the other day on special, and I've on a really good price, and I've got them there so I can swap them around on different bikes, have a feel for how they feel. Is one seat's a bit better on a road bike, one seat's a bit better on a mountain bike, and so on. And some seats might not fit you at all. Another thing which I've found out is that even my sit bones say that I'm like extra wide at about, I think about 170 millimeters. But I have found the seats that I grew up using, which felt the best before I did any testing of the width, was 143, 145 millimeters. So there's a big difference in what the actual test is saying versus what is most comfortable for me. So with a saddle, having the correct saddle is the most important thing to enjoying your ride, and the most important thing to probably the most important part of bike setup. And it can sometimes not be easy to figure out what is best for you, but it's a lot of trial and error. So a good way might be to go to a bike shop and try different bikes where there's already seats on there, or maybe you know, like you go to your friends' bikes, or a bike race or something. You know, oh, can I try that bike? Can I try that? You know, but I've sometimes spent, you know, $200 on a saddle, and it's not quite right, and I thought it would be right. So there can be a lot of trial and error, and you know, some seats they have a groove in the middle, and I don't have one here right now, but some seats have a groove in the middle because it can alleviate pressure for some people. I've always grown up using a seat similar to this sort of profile, and this profile, and completely filled in like this, and it's been completely good, completely perfect for me. If you're a guy, you have a narrower seat, and if you're a woman, you have a wider seat. Hope you guys liked our video. Cheers.